Welcome to Ensemble on Cable 14. I'm your host, Jamie Tennant, and we are down here in the studios with 4 more fantastic songwriters and singers. They're going to play their songs and tell their stories for you at home, for each other in the studio here, and we're happy to have you back with us. Tonight's theme that we gave to the musicians when they came in, we said you got to pick a theme. The show is going to be about the theme learning curve. So theoretically, everyone will have brought in a song on the theme learning curve. I'm curious to see how these songs tie into that. And our guests tonight are Brennagh Burns, Brandon General, Troy Harmer, and Adam Carter. So we'll come over to this side and start with you, Brennagh. How you doing?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. You were on the very first show.
The very first episode of Ensemble.
Now back then, you've played a lot in Niagara, Norfolk, and that area, and you said in your bio that you were just relocated to Hamilton. Were you in Hamilton back then on the first show?
No, I was out in the Niagara area playing in Norfolk with Cindy and Dwayne, Cindy Dell and Dwayne Rudder. Right. So just recently moved to Hamilton and enjoying being back. And
obviously it was the excitement of Cable 14
obviously
that got you to move to Hamilton, right? No question about it. But seriously, what was the reason behind the move?
I grew up in Hamilton. I was born and raised in Hamilton, well, until I was 7, and moved around and about to different areas and really felt the need to come home. And there's such a great community of artists here and lots of friends and family in the area, so it seemed like the next logical step.
Now, you know a lot of the artists in Hamilton already, right?
I know certainly a few, for sure. I'd love to meet more, but...
Is it intimidating at all when you suddenly have to come into like a whole new town where there's a quote-unquote music scene and get to know this new group of people, or is it not too bad because you have some friends already?
In ways, it can be really intimidating, but I think for the most part, when you approach a situation with an open heart and generosity, and when you're as kind as you can be, for the most part, you have that reciprocated. So I've met so many beautiful people who've just been willing to open up, share contacts or just share friendships and pretty much welcome me with open arms. So I'm pretty fortunate. But.
Yeah, for sure. And Hamilton is a great place for that. I find most people on the scene are pretty open and welcoming.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the exception of these guys. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Really, really great people, and such a fabulous sense of community musically here. And not just musically, artistically across the spectrum, but for sure when it comes to the music, it's tight-knit, but it's definitely not a cold shoulder kind of community. So,
you are going to start off the show with your first song. It's called Murder.
Yep.
Now, I'm really curious, given the title of that, how that ties into the theme of learning curve.
Well, the song Murder is not about murdering or dismembering people. It refers to a group of crows, a murder of crows. And I selected this song to play because this song really captures some of my learning around bullying and issues that I had growing up with bullying, and learning that no matter what, there are always people who are going to judge you. There are always people who will have problems with you. But ultimately, it really has nothing to do with me or vice versa. Often it's about them and their own insecurities or their own personal issues being reflected. So it's kind of a song about saying, bring on your hate, but I'm not having any of it. You can have it back. Thanks.
Cool.
So, yeah.
It's a much more positive song than the title would at first have you believe.
Exactly. It's a little misleading.
Cool. Well, take it away as soon as you're ready.
All right.
The late gray walks these cobbled roads, while the shadows stalk everywhere he goes. They follow all their fabled talks, been dwindled down to whispering foes. He'll leave the dying to the crows. a time long gone. Home sees old halls, present only serving to remind him of the cost. When the point of it all gets lost with the wrongs he yesterday forgot, he'll leave the dying to the crows. 'Cause they can only tear into you so deep. Yeah, they can only drag you down so far, claim it as defeat. For it all comes back around to face consequences reaped. So leave the dying to the crows. Oh. The late great walks these cobbled roads, while the shadows stalk everywhere he goes. They follow, and all their fabled talk's been dwindled down to whisper and foes. He'll leave the dying to the crows, 'cause they can only tear into you so deep. They can only drag you down so far, claim it as defeat. For it all comes back around to face consequences reaped. Leave the dying to the crows. Just leave the dying to the crows. Go on, leave the dying to the crows.
Nice.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
And you know, it's great revenge on bullies to write a song about them and then get to play it on TV, which they're
Isn't it
probably
the
not
truth?
doing. Brendan, you guys are in a band together, is that right?
Yep.
Say Goodnight Gracie?
Yep.
What's that reference? I know that. I can't recall what it is.
George
though.
Burns and Gracie Allen.
course.
Gracie Allen?
Yeah.
Gracie. Someone.
Gracie Allen.
Gracie.
It's a
someone.
bit before all our time, so you know, maybe more mine than your guys. I'm the guy with the gray here, but you know.
I got a little bit.
What do you guys do in the band?
What do you mean?
What kind of material do you guys do in the band?
Oh dear, that's a loaded question.
Yeah. Like
Folk,
yeah.
rockabilly,
There you go. Answer that question.
bluegrass.
Covers, originals?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've done a bunch of. You've been in a few different bands. You were a founding member of Human Orchestra, right?
At one time, yeah.
Yeah, it's a ways back.
Yeah.
And you're doing a solo thing now, but you don't. Do you go under your own name, or you go under?
Well, I'm going under Beard the Lions right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's? I wanted to know what that's all about. Why Beard the Lions?
It's a reference to an old, like, I don't know, old English saying, Beard the lion in his own den. And so, I don't know, it's just supposed to be like face your fears, you know, confront your enemies and haters or whatever. So
Haters with a Z.
with a Z,
on it, probably.
Yeah.
You've been working on some new material too. Is that right for that project?
Yeah, I was recording it in Dunnville for a while. Stopped recording it in Dunnville. Now I'm recording at home again. And yeah, it's just sort of an ongoing process.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Are you working with other engineers out in Dunnville and?
Yeah, a guy named Kyle Rowe. Yeah, so just yeah, recording.
Do you prefer to do it at home, or is there a time when you're good to work at home, and a time when you think you need to get out and step aside and work with somebody else in another location when it comes to recording?
Yeah, when I can't do something. Yeah, no, I like to work at home.
Yeah.
I prefer to just kind of be comfortable and go at my own pace,
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah.
That's cool. The song that you brought to us for this theme of learning curve is "Those Were the Days." With all these old references, I'm like, is that Archie Bunker thing? No, that's just
Could be.
Could be, but it's not.
Maybe.
Tell us. That'd be amazing if you suddenly busted into that. I wrote this. Tell us a bit about the song.
It's just a little bit of a, I don't know. I was thinking about, I was being nostalgic one day, and so I don't know. I used to be kind of selfish, and like we all go through selfish phases, and wanted to change. And so that's what I wrote the song about.
Was that a conscious decision? Like, did you actually? It's really rare when somebody has a personality flaw. They can actually look at themselves and go, "Yep, it's time for me to consciously become a different person in this regard." It's a hard thing to do. So this is something you actually sat down and did, eh?
Yeah, it sort of ties in with the Beard the Lions thing.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
right?
That's not easy to do, man. That must have been daunting to look at yourself and go, "Yeah, me. I think I'm me, and I've just realized I don't like part of me, and I'm going to change it." That's fundamentally.
It's
difficult.
not easy to sit down and. I mean, I wrote the song kind of like happy too. So
Yeah.
But to kind of counteract the idea that I had to think about the fact that I was probably not the most generous person.
Do you find, not to get too overly serious about the idea of music creation, but do you find sometimes working on music, you find yourself tackling things inside yourself and actually, they talk about music as therapy tons of times, and it's usually getting over something bad, but this is a different kind of idea. This is learning about yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely find the most comfort in writing songs about trying to deal with something or, about myself somehow, selfishly.
Well, that's funny because, ironically, there's a lot of inward looking, obviously, being a singer-songwriter, right? I mean, it can be pretty much all about what you're doing and inside your head, so it's kind of a weird catch-22, I think, in some ways, right? So,
Yeah, definitely.
but that's cool. But, well, let's check out the song then. Those were the days.
All right.
I remember me walking down the old laneway. Optimism on my face, it was a very sunny day. I was under the age of majority then. I guess I was looking for a friend. You were like an avalanche, I was like a tree. I guess I could have been the avalanche when I chose to be the tree. Wish I had been aware of the joke in the end. I guess I was looking for a friend. Those were the days, those were the days. Those were the days when I couldn't find my own way home. I found myself alone when I didn't want to be alone. I wanted something for nothing, I only wanted to pretend. Guess I was looking for a friend. Those were the days, those were the days. Those were the days. I remember me walking down the old laneway. Optimism on my face, was a very sunny day. Was under the age of majority then. I guess I was looking for a friend. You were like an avalanche, I was like a tree. I guess I could have been the avalanche when I chose to be the tree. I wish I had been aware of the joke in the end. I guess I was looking for a friend. I guess I was looking for a friend. I guess I was looking for a friend.
Nice. That was great. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
We need the applause track or something in here. It's kind of, the song kind of ends and it feels kind of sad that the music is over. We need the applause to bring us back up. Troy Armour, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. You've been keeping yourself pretty busy. You've got yourself a weekly gig, right?
Yeah.
At Stonewalls.
Stonewalls every Sunday night with the band.
Mm-hmm. Now, is it like an open mic kind of thing?
Yeah.
How do you like doing that? First of all, when you were starting, it's open to any of you guys. When you were starting out, did you do the open mic thing first? Was that the first way you got into performing songs live?
Yep.
So doing it as sort of the host, you have a bit of sympathy, I guess, for terrified people getting up there for the first time, right? Do you think that was a good way? Would you recommend people who are just starting out to start out that way too?
It's a great way to network.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of times people who are pretty established aren't only running them, but show up, just work out new tunes, hang out, do things like that.
Just because you're at home going, geez, I wish I was playing tonight.
Yeah, right.
You show up somewhere and play. It's out of necessity, just to scratch that itch, you know?
And then the band is the Persuaders, right?
Yeah.
Star Harbor and the Persuaders. You also do something that's kind of neat, which is your other gig that's not live but is live. Your web gig. Tell us a bit about that. That's kind of fun.
All right. Again, scratching the itch. Not as many places to play as I'd like to play, and I've got friends across the country that we like to have you play in Ottawa or whatever, and sometimes doing that isn't very feasible. So I started this thing. I call it the Concert at Your Place, and I do a broadcast from my couch, and I take requests. So it is live. You can respond through the it's called Ustream, and you can respond and ask for a certain song or ask me a question or talk about whatever. It's no holds barred. It's no censors, so we can do whatever we want.
So things get a little blue after.
Sometimes,
a certain hour,
sure.
right? Yeah.
I can change the lyrics if I like. I just kind of play my favorite songs, and it's an avenue to reach people and play music. So it's been a lot of fun. I might start getting some friends out to that too, and just kind of make it interesting so people don't get bored of just looking at me all the time. And have somebody else on the couch.
Does it feel weird because you know there's an audience, but all you see is a...
It is very weird. I'm only in about week 7 of it, and it's like, okay, so I don't know if there's like 1 billion people watching. I expect there wouldn't be 1 billion, but you don't know if there's anybody. So it's like, hello, is anybody out there? Somebody send me a message or whatever. But it's growing every week, and people are saying they really enjoy it, and so I do that at like 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. So
cool. Yeah, I've never asked anybody this in all the time we've done the show, but is this weird? Is it odd to sit in this room and play on television?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah?
Very weird.
Yeah, it must feel very different. I mean, you have an audience, but no one's holding a beer and shouting for Freebird from the back of the room, right? So
nobody's tripping over our gear.
No, exactly. But you all managed okay. It sounds pretty good. So let's hear another song. You're going to play a song. Right. Sounds also like a self-help song. Maybe it's not. Get better.
Yeah. When I wrote it, it wasn't a true story. I just tried to kind of write a song that people could relate to about breakups and relationships. And since then, a lot of it's come true. But I think if you pay attention every day and you look around and be aware, you can learn something new every day and get better if you just try to approach life like that, like with an open mind.
Cool.
So
whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right. Sure we got.
I don't like to talk about it. It gets me feeling so down. That woman made me a laughing stock with everybody in town. I'm better off without her, 'cause she's no good for me. But sometimes your heart can't comprehend what your head finds plain to see. Things are sure to get better, 'cause they can't get a whole lot worse. As time goes by, I know that I must learn to put me first. Things are sure to get easier if there's a bright side to it all. It's once you hit rock bottom, baby, you got nowhere to fall. And I said, whoa, I got this hole in my heart. Oh, baby, baby, I gotta have you. Oh, try to make a brand new start. Oh, baby, baby, can't stand to lose you. Well, I never saw it coming. It took me by surprise. She disappeared without a trace. You know, she never even said goodbye. I'll never know her reasons. It happened oh so fast. I thought she was my soulmate, and I thought our love could last. But things are sure to get better, 'cause they can't get a whole lot worse. As time goes by, I know that I must learn to put me first. Things are sure to get easier if there's a bright side to it all. It's once you hit a rock bottom, baby, you got nowhere to fall. And I said, whoa, yours was the best love I ever had. Oh, baby, baby, I gotta have you. See, oh, I can't stand the feeling when I'm hurting this bad. Oh, baby, baby, can't be without you. Things are sure to get better, 'cause they can't get a whole lot worse. As time goes by, I know that I must learn to put me first. Things are sure to get easier if there's a bright side to it all. It's once you hit a rock bottom, baby, you got nowhere to fall. And I said, whoa, there ought to be a law against looking so good. Oh, baby, baby, I gotta have you. Oh, you never treat me like you should. Oh, baby, baby, can't live without you.
Nice. Thanks, Troy.
Thank you.
Adam, you found another way to scratch the itch and get out there and play, and that is when it's not minus 400 degrees, like it's been all year so far. You do a lot of street performing and busking, right?
Yeah, I discovered that a few years back. A friend of mine was doing it. He was an opera singer, and I started doing it, particularly when I went on tour with Kirby. And I learned that we would make, or at least I would make more money. He didn't like to busk, but I would make more money on the street before the show than we would actually get for playing the gig.
Oh, man.
So
yeah.
it made touring a lot more easy. And then when I came back to Hamilton, I figured out a schedule, and I go to all the festivals, wherever there's people, and just play. And not only does it earn me a little cash, but it makes me almost impenetrable to heckling. Or when anything goes wrong on stage now, it's just like, whatever, I don't care. People look at me on the street, they're like, look at that guy, he's a bum.
Yeah, right, assume that you're busking for change out in front of the beer store or something like that. But no, that's interesting that you say you'd actually make more money than at a gig. That's a whole other conversation that we could probably have all night long about what people are paid versus what they're actually worth. But also you get to gig whenever you want then.
Pretty much,
you know? Weather pending.
As long as it's not minus 400.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Raining.
I may have overshot it with the minus 400, but nevertheless, it's cold. Your song is called Winter Song, fittingly enough. That's the first thing you're going to play.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about how it fits in with our theme.
I am totally one of those people that gets seasonal affective disorder, if it's a real thing or not. I'm active during the spring and the summer and the fall, and then the winter comes and the snow comes, and I just shut right down.
Yeah.
And so last winter I was feeling horrible, and I was like, I have to do something. I'm going to write a song. So I wrote a song about it, and it's it's weird because I really like the song, but I feel like I can only play it in the winter. No one wants to hear it in the summertime, and most of my gigs are in the summertime, so it's great when I do get a chance to play it.
Well, lucky for you, there's no end in sight for wintertime. Lucky in this one instance. This is the one time that's a good thing. But yeah, play it for us now, man.
Excellent. Cold wind, snow, fall, ice on the street, this road, it looks so damn long. I could swear that it was just summer, and I haven't been myself since the sun went out. The leaves have changed and I am sleepy now. I don't want to leave the house. I'll stay in bed for days, and no one will discover me. I'll stay in bed for days, whatever becomes of me, waiting for the snow outside to melt. I want the snow to melt. At first they might call me on the phone to check and see if I'm alright, but my phone will likely be on silent, and I've locked myself away in a private little cage where I am in control, and here I will remain until the sun comes out again. I'll stay in bed for weeks, and no one will discover me. I'll stay in bed for weeks, whatever becomes of me, waiting for the snow outside to snow outside. I want the snow. I want the snow to melt. I want the snow. Just let me be for 3 more months, and I'm sure I'll be fine. The little things seem hard today. It's easier to leave them all outside. With the frozen wind.
Surprise ending, nice.
That D chord is the spring. It's springtime's coming and it's happy.
I like that thought. That's good. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Adam, Troy, Brandon, and Brenna right after these messages. Stick around for Ensemble on Cable 14. Welcome back to the second half of Ensemble on Cable 14. I'm Jamie Tennant, your host, and we are back in the studio with our theme of the evening, which is Learning Curve. And our guests tonight have been Adam Carter, Troy Harmer, Brandon General, and Brennagh Burns. So we're going to come back across to you again to start off and put you on the spot there for the second half of the show. So
Oh, a minute now. We're good.
you're in the zone now. It's all fine, right? So it's funny. We were talking just before, during the break, we were talking about stage banter and that part of the communication and comfort with interviews and things like that. All the sort of, not trappings, but these extra things that come with writing songs, did that ever cross your mind, for any of you, before you started performing live? Or did you get on stage finally for the first time and go, oh man, I have to like talk to people? Is that how it went down for you?
Yeah.
It's been a pretty weird realization, I guess, right?
I went to school for theater, so I've been doing public speaking and that kind of stuff for ages, so it wasn't quite as foreign to me.
Well, did you make music all through that time too, or did you? Yeah. So you were doing them in tandem.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, which chicken egg thing happened first? What did you get into first, theater or music?
Both.
Yeah.
I was a dancer before both, so that involves theater and music.
It does.
But I've been writing since I was 12 years old and plunking on a piano at home, and I've always been passionate about theater or acting, so I guess it was all kind of broiled in together.
Yeah, cool. You've been working on, we talked about some other people here working on stuff. You're working on a third release, is that right?
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about that yet? Is it
still very, very much in the infant stages, working really hard on writing right now and developing material and hoping that I'll have something to release by the end of this year. So, but we'll see.
How many songs you're going to put out a full length?
Yeah, definitely. Hoping 10 to 14. So.
Okay. The next song you're playing for us is called When It All Comes Down. Is this a new one or
this is on my last
record?
album on Raw. Murder, the one I played before, is one of the new songs. But yeah, this came off of Raw, and I guess ties into Learning Curve because it's about heartbreak and learning how to cope with heartbreak. And I think that a lot of people can relate. The first couple times you have your heart broken, you spend so much time thinking, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? I wasn't this, I wasn't this. And it's been in the last few years that my thinking around that has started to change, and that you start to realize once you get the ego out of it, once again, it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with them. It's just what's best or what they need to do or what I need to do. And this is a song that sort of explores being able to release the ego while still being able to go through the grief at the same time.
Cool. All right. As soon as you're ready, we could learn something from this. I know I could probably.
All right.
Well, I guess that I can't place all of the blame on you. There were things that we both could have done that we chose not to do. Paths they will stray, chemistry it fades, irrelevance claims all the faith that we placed in the promises we made. Now here I stand, trying to hold on to something that's already let go of me. Trying to let go of something I'm so desperate to keep. And it's killing me. Well, I guess that I can't place all of the blame on me. There were signs that we both could have read, chose not to let ourselves see. Hearts they will stray, intensity it fades. All the reasons to stay have become all the reasons to find your
I like the expression on the last chorus.
Such a depressing song, but also, there's some hope in it. There's brightness in it. So.
Oh, there usually is. It's not usually like the. I find even really depressing songs, very few people hit like those Morrissey levels of there's no redeeming hope in the song at all. It's not that Requiem for a Dream sort of bleak beginning to end kind of deal. We were talking about her going to theater school and things like that. It reminds me, one thing I notice on this show, a lot of times people think there's a certain temperament of a person who becomes a performer. And I'm finding more and more, the more people I meet doing this kind of work, it's absolutely not true, because obviously because this conversation started with you and I, and you said banter can be kind of challenging and you're never really sure, but you still get up and you still play music and you still write music, so it's as different as those elements of personalities may be. You're still doing the same thing, right?
Right.
Why do you think people have preconceptions about how musicians are or how they think, or people think, I guess, they want to be in the spotlight and it's all about that kind of thing, and it's really not.
No,
for most people.
we're weird.
We're weird.
Yeah, musicians are weird. I don't know. I mean, I'm fine. I can't talk to people when I'm talking about what I do.
Yeah.
But if I'm playing something, I'm totally fine. I don't know. It's weird.
It is interesting, right? Like musicians, I think people who are into music at all can be kind of weird in a good way, right? But
in the best way.
In the best way. But it's true, and yet you get these personalities who want to make music and do want other people to hear it and do want to perform it, but at the same time don't want to do it. I'm thinking of like the Elliott Smiths and the Cat Powers of the world who are paralyzed with fear.
Harry Nilsson's.
Yeah, that's true too, right?
Yeah.
Yet still managed to do it. Do you have moments of that level where you're actually, or does the guitar always make it okay?
The guitar makes it fine. I'm exactly like all those people, though. I have to do it on some level and enjoy doing it on some level, but I don't want to do it on some level too. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not a nerve thing though.
If you don't do it, you go nuts though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just an uncomfortable, unnatural feeling, but natural feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's not actually being nervous. It's just not knowing how to
exactly
navigate
not knowing how
that.
not knowing how to navigate or interact. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, you don't seem awkward here at all.
Well, the first half was fine. Yeah, I mean we've laughed and
cried, and it was better than Cats. It was
yeah, exactly. When the cameras were off, it was.
It was great when the cameras were off,
Yeah.
right? No, but it's funny because the cameras are a weird thing. Just all you have to do is know they're rolling, and suddenly you feel a little bit weird and awkward. You hear that, camera guys? You're making us feel awkward. No, just kidding. You have another song for us, "Lover in the Salt."
Mm-hmm.
What is that a reference to?
Well, a song about betrayal. So, I mean, I guess it would tie into the theme. It's learning how to navigate betrayal, learning how to navigate relationships and things like that. Yeah. Just questions in the chorus and with no answers, but trying to.
But even the title, a reference to salt. What is that a reference
Well, it's like
to?
rubbing salt in a wound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. That sounds good. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, the second half is a little bleak.
We're going to get you to play that spring chord at the end of the show. Just once. Just once. Well, no, I want to check this out for sure. Lover in the Salt. Let's hear it when you're ready, man.
All right.
Lover in the salt, sprinkled in the wound. Lover in the way of ever loving you. Keeper of the gate, keeper of the truth. Sinner and the saint, all alone I'll wait for you. Lover in the straw, howl at the moon, scratching at your back. Oh, what's a lover to do? Bloody from the fall, cover me maroon. shades of things that lovers do. Do I light a fire in the cold? Do I ever do things when I'm told? Should I just forget you and grow old? Would that be fair? Would you feel all alone? Lover in the song, sprinkle in the wound. Lover in the way of ever loving you. Keeper at the gate, keeper of the truth. The sinner and the saint, all alone I'll wait for you. Do I light a fire in the cold? Do I ever do things when I'm told? Should I just forget you and grow old? Would that be fair? Would you feel all alone?
Thank you.
See, but it's so much happier with the applause. It just seems to be more natural.
It's much more natural.
Right? Exactly. Because the last thing you want to do is play a song and then have nobody clap.
Well, it's not even that. Just as an audience member, it's more
Right?
natural
Yeah,
to
for sure.
celebrate and be there with them.
Yeah.
And that's like that's the kind of dream you have as a musician. It's the nightmare. It's the equivalent of like going to school without your pants on. Those dreams is like you play the song and everyone just crickets.
Yeah.
I don't think that surely must not really happen very much. I'm sure people are pretty, at least polite. You know?
Crickets don't have a sense of humor.
Crickets, no sense of humor at all.
So that doesn't
Polite
happen.
clapping is no better though, because then it's the slow clap or something like that. So, but you guys never hear that. You're too good to hear that kind of thing. So, Troy, you're a Mohawk graduate, right?
Yeah.
And you've gone on from going to school for music to teaching music yourself. Is that right?
Yeah.
A whole bunch of instruments. What do you teach?
Well, my main instrument is guitar, but I play drums, saxophone, bass, and I sing. So I teach all of those things.
You teach vocal as well, then.
Yeah.
And how did
Drums.
you? I was going to say find the time, but I guess when you're growing up, you do have that kind of time. How did you get into playing so many different things?
Actually, that happened after college.
Yeah?
I just picked up
Just
a saxophone.
decided to pick it up?
I tried picking up a saxophone in high school, and it was just a horrible thing. And my mom said, "Please go back to playing your guitar, because it's an evil instrument when you're first learning it."
Yeah,
like it's
I
like
played
it'd be
alto in high school. So
It'd be
I
like
remember.
I play alto now, but it's like kind of like violin. It's a scratchy, horrible sound, and you can't play it quiet. So it's like, yeah, you can play your guitar and not plug it in. We like that, Go back to that. So I was a little discouraged, and then after college, when I had my own place, I picked up a saxophone and tried again. And
Yeah. Well, it's got to be weird, not weird, but difficult if you're a player who plays something like that, a horn, a woodwind, bowed string. If you're a creative person, you can't really, I'm not going to write a solo saxophone song.
Actually, I have written melodies on saxophone.
Yeah?
You approach it with a different brain.
Yeah.
Like you play, I have licks that I play on guitar that come out, whereas saxophone, I'm a newbie, so I it's like, okay, well, that sounded kind of good, and sometimes I'm not even aware of what I'm playing. I'm just like making things. So I think if you write on different instruments, you can come up with different types of sounds like that you wouldn't normally come across with.
To me, it's just something like a sax always, and obviously you hear it in jazz, but to me it just seems to make sense that in that context of a bunch of musicians doing the working around a bunch of some chords and improvising from there, you're writing on the spot essentially when you do that kind of improv, right? So that's the way I always feel about that. I've never thought of just writing a melody on a saxophone before. Yeah. But what's the difference? I guess piano, plunking out a melody, it's same kind of thing.
There's all kinds of different ways that you can write. You can have a melody first and then try to put music to that, or you can have a chord progression first and try to put words to that, whatever that sort of leads you to.
Do you have a preferred method or a way it usually comes out?
No, sometimes the whole thing's there.
Yeah.
I just got to write this down before it goes away. And sometimes it's just a song title or like a theme of, okay, I'm going to write a song about this, and then try to find the right chords and the right words to say. So really, I think probably everybody can relate. It's different every time. Like it's not always a cut and paste way.
Yeah. Well, tell me about this. The second song you're going to play. I'm looking at the title here, and I'm thinking either that's a reference to Brecht, Per Ubu, or it's Prince, UBU.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it is.
Yeah,
it's UBU.
It's less confusing than it sounds. Yeah. You be you, and I'll be me.
But you could always lie. You could always say, no, it's a Bertolt Brecht reference. It's Ubu. Come on.
Good old
Tell us about the song a bit.
Okay. It's about accepting people for who they are and finding somebody compatible with you. So you can't really change people. You have to kind of, at least I've found in my years on the planet, you have to kind of find somebody that fits with you. You can't make them fit with you after the fact. You can't. It's too late. They've already become the person they are. So if you want to be happy, you got to find somebody that you like who they are and not try to change them, and vice versa. They have to accept you for who you are, and that's how it's supposed to work anyway.
And it's a learning curve there for sure to try to get to that point, right?
Because you try to make a square peg fit in a round hole for a long time, and then you figure it out, no, that's not going to work anymore. I got to do something different.
Cool. So take it away, man.
All right. There we go. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Some days you will, other days you won't. You know I love you, baby, and I want you to be free, just to be who you want to be. Well, you keep on being you, and I'll keep being me. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Some days you'll settle, sometimes you're strong. You know I love you, baby, though we agree to disagree, just a small formality. Well, you keep on being you, and I'll keep being me. Don't practice politics, don't play no stupid games. Don't plan no guilt trips, don't pass along no blame. Don't let obsessiveness come smother all love's flames. We've got our differences, but I love you just the same. Sometimes you're slow, sometimes you're fast. Sometimes you wanna let it go, sometimes you wanna make it last. You know I love you, baby, and I want you to be free, just to be who you wanna be. Well, you keep on being you, and I'll keep being me. Don't practice politics, don't play no stupid games. Don't play no guilt trips, don't pass along no blame. Don't let obsessiveness come smother all those flames. We've got our differences, but I love you just the same. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Some days you will, baby, then other days you won't. I love you, baby, and I want you to be free, just to be who you want to be. Well, you keep on being you, and I'll keep being me. Yeah, you keep on being you, and I'll keep being me. You keep on being you, and I'll keep being me. You be you, and I'll be me.
Adam, now we forgot to mention earlier that you actually perform under not under your own name usually. You have a project name, right? The Human Race.
Yeah, there's too many Adam Carters in the world. There's at least
There's
3
one
or
in
4
town
of them
who
in
works for
Hamilton.
CBC, right?
Yeah, I got an email from my mom, and she's like, "So you got a job at the CBC?" And I'm like, "I wish, Mom." Some dude stole my name.
But it's not just a solo project, though, correct?
No, I left it open, and the sort of the irony of, I guess it might be irony, it might not. The Human Race being a solo artist who sometimes plays with whoever's around.
Yeah.
So I have a core band. Mother Tarika is my sax player.
Nice.
And his drummer David, who's a good friend of mine, and then John the bassist, who has played in a number of bands in town.
I like the biblical sound of that, John the bassist.
They
Pretty
play
good.
with me pretty regularly. I have a harp player, Rachel Nolan, does a bunch of this sometimes. And depending on who's around, we may add or take away from it. And I like it like that. Back in high school, it used to be like we'd have a band and we'd have these songs and we would all dress a certain way. And after, if we screwed up, you'd choose someone out. And this is much more like we're all friends and we trust each other.
Yeah.
And I write these songs and they help me make them good.
Which is really cool. Yeah. And now when you do it on your own, you're a bit like Troy's setup. You got pedals and some
I have a
loops
whole bunch of loopy madness going on, which
Loopy
is it's growing all the time.
Well, you stripped it down pretty far tonight, so.
Yeah, I looked at Troy's setup and I was like, oh, I could have brought mine. I'm happy I didn't. I have enough problems sometimes being on stage in front of people and hitting the right button at the right time. And I figured, like, with the cameras and all that, I was just going to go.
And that's the kind of thing, when you're doing that kind of thing, it's the kind of thing you don't go to a class at Mohawk on how to hit the right button on your pedal. It's just something you have to figure out for yourself, right? You're teaching yourself as you go. Often you've set up your own setup. You didn't buy it off the shelf somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So is it pretty much your own kind of setup you put together?
It is a whole bunch. There's some looping pedals I bought, which are big, like 3-channel units.
Yeah.
And then I've added and taken away. I have a stomp box that's actually a piece of wood with a microphone in it that I bought when I was on tour. And a musician that I met on the road, he makes them, and he sold it to me for $40 out of the back of his van. So it's a mishmash.
Yeah. When you're writing with that kind of, when you have that kind of equipment, that kind of gear, does it change what you're writing? Like, would you ever write a song and go, nah, this is kind of boring, but then you think because you've got the pedals and stuff, you can layer it enough to make the arrangement more interesting, or does it work like that?
I'm not really that kind of songwriter.
Yeah.
Like, to me, melody is really important,
Yeah.
and so if it doesn't have a strong melody, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are songs that I do with the looper, and it goes one way, and by myself, and it's the other, and then with a band. And the band always becomes more dancier because there's saxophone, but melody's the most important thing.
Yeah, and when you have that, you can perform it and record it in any fashion you want, and it's going to stand up no matter what you do to it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You can overdo it, right? You can overproduce.
Yeah.
You do a lot of production. I guess you know that you can overproduce things pretty easily, and you got to keep it scaled back, right?
Yeah.
So.
I think the test of a good song is that it can stand on its own. You
Yeah.
can just play it. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm saying that I have some good effects here, but that's to accompany myself. So, like, if the song doesn't already stand on its own, you can't fix it with technology.
But saying that though, there are weird, examples that prove the rule. I mean, you can think. I can't think off the top of my head. Okay.
U2 comes to mind.
Yeah, U2 has some songs.
Like, not to bash U2, but like some of the noises that the Edge gets out of his guitar doesn't sound like a guitar. It sounds like an elephant screaming or something. So it's a unique sound that adds to the song, but the song is still good.
Yeah, exactly.
So having that elephant scream doesn't fix the song. It just adds to the song. Yeah.
We're running out of time, so we want to make sure, speaking of songs, we get the entirety of yours. You're playing a track called Lights Out.
Yeah.
Just quickly, it relates to the theme.
This is something that, like, you got the internet and you can read about everything. So years ago, I read about all the different ways that modern civilization could end and became fixated on this until I sort of talked myself out of it. And this is a song that is me just sort of explaining this to someone or possibly myself, and a therapeutic way of sort of getting over the fact that it's not permanent and it's okay.
Okay.
Lights are out and I am in control of my thoughts again.
all around in front of me. And can you see it's melting? And I don't want to talk about the things that scare you. And I don't want to talk about the things that scare you now. Will you remember how to grow your food when the trucks stop? When the trucks stop pulling in? Will you remember how to grow your own food when the trucks stop? When the trucks stop. And I don't want to have to be the one to scare you, but things are looking just a little grim. I don't want to have to be the one to scare you, but you aren't doing much of anything. And I'm an optimistic man. I'm trying hard to understand. Why is it I can't explain? You won't comprehend. And I'm an optimistic man. I'm trying hard to understand. Why is it I can't explain? You won't comprehend. You won't comprehend. You won't comprehend. Why is it I? And I don't want to be right. And I don't want to be right. No concern for the facts when you're living in denial. And I don't want to be.
Spring chord, quick, make us all happy. That's it for tonight's episode of Ensemble. I want to thank Adam Carter, Troy Harmer, Brandon General, and Brennagh Burns for being on the show. Tune in again next time. I'm Jamie Tennant. Thanks for watching.